These are the basic strategies that you need to follow if you're running a Meta Ads campaign with under £1,000 per month in budget. Now, unfortunately, lots of the advice that you'll be researching online is for bigger budget campaigns, but they won't necessarily disclose that in their articles or videos. But if you're planning to spend less than £1,000 a month, which is about $1,200, which is a lots and lots of people out there, you'll need to follow this advice here. Now, I'm going to cover how you can choose your campaign type, campaign structure, how to do your audience targeting, what to optimize your campaigns for, your tracking, and most importantly, your strategy. Because you don't have the budget to engage in a large, fancy, multi-layered strategy, so I'll show you what you do have the budget to do. Okay, so let's talk campaign types. This bit is really, really simple. Simply choose the campaign type that best describes what you want to achieve. Generally speaking, awareness campaigns, this is not really going to do much good for your business. When you're paying for awareness campaigns, what you're paying for is the lowest cost, the cheapest impressions across Meta. They're cheapest because they're lowest value. And I would actually pretty much always question the value that an awareness campaign brings to your business. There is something that they call ad recall lift, but realistically, if you have a look at 1,000 people who have seen your ad, how many are going to remember your business type from an awareness campaign? Probably very little. If you just want general awareness, I would normally look at a traffic or engagement campaign. But what most of you are going to be using Facebook advertising for is to generate leads for your business. What does that mean? Well, that simply is somebody submitting a contact form through your website, or somebody leaving their details on a form within Facebook so you can see their details, so you can get the information that you want in order to follow up with them and ultimately make sales. And finally, app promotion is there if you're promoting an app, but only use it if you're promoting an app. If you do want to sell an app, then that's what you go for. But the majority are going to be doing leads or sales. Sales is where you just want to sell something directly through your website, whether that's a tangible product, like a table and chairs, for example, or watches or boots, or whether you want to sell courses or anything. If you want people to hand over their money through your website or whatever platform you're using, you want a sales campaign. If you want people's information so you can follow up and hopefully make sales generally for services down the line, you want leads. Go with what you want. Don't be going with traffic if you want leads. Don't be going with traffic if you want sales. We've done the split testing, and the split testing shows although you will generate more traffic with a traffic campaign, because that's what it's designed to do, you're not going to get the same amount of leads. You will get some, but you won't get it to the same extent because of the optimization, which we'll come on to next. Okay, when we're talking about optimization, what we optimize for, what we're talking about is what event we want the Facebook system to achieve for you. So whatever you ask it to do, you've got to remember, this is just an AI-driven platform. It's just ones and zeros, and it's just trying to figure out how many ticks in a box it can get. And that's what we're after with an optimization event. If you optimize, you see here where it says performance goal, that's what we want it to achieve. And at the moment, it's set to maximize number of link clicks. And if you do that, it's just going to find you people who click on your ad that are also within your target audience that we'll come on to in a moment. But really, what is the value of that? What is the value of somebody clicking on your ads? Not very much. So what we want to change it to, certainly not maximize the number of impressions, because then that's basically just like an awareness campaign that we discussed earlier. We're going to change it to maximize numbers of conversions. Now in here, you can see that it's automatically selected the conversion event for purchase. What I should mention is if you do one of their new Advantage Plus campaigns where you have pre-selections, if you do a sales campaign, this will already be automatically chosen for you, and you will set that at the campaign level. But because this is a manual campaign, we're doing this at the ad set level. So this might look a little bit different depending on the campaign type that you have chosen. So maximize number of conversions, and we just want to go for purchase. Now, there are some exceptions to that. If you are running a campaign and you've only got £1,000 a month and you optimize for purchases, you need 50 events within a week, within 7 days, in order to exit the learning phase. Now, if you are selling something that is high value, it's unlikely that you're going to achieve those 50 sales within the 7-day period. However, campaigns will still perform well within the learning phase. So please don't panic around that. We've got a client at the moment and they are making an average sale for £200 per sale. Now, of course, they're going with a really, really high budget. They're spending tens of thousands of pounds every single month, depending on the month. However, they're still not exiting the learning phase, but they're still achieving a profitable return on ad spend. So we don't worry about it. Something that you can do if you do want to exit that learning stage is you just optimize for an earlier place on your funnels. Because the first thing people are going to do is they're going to land on your website. The second thing in a sales campaign they're going to do is add to cart, then they're going to initiate the checkout, then they're going to purchase. Now, you will get an attrition rate as you go down. So if you have 100 people that go to the website, you might have 20 that add to cart, you might have 10 that initiate their checkout, and you might get 2 purchases. So if you optimize for those add to carts, you're going to collect more of them, you're going to collect more data, and you know that a good proportion of those people are then going to go on to make a purchase. But whatever performance goal that you set, you're going to have to test these things to find what works best. What I can't honestly sit here and do with integrity is tell you exactly what you need to do, because I don't know what your product is and I don't know who your target market is. I don't know what profitability you have in your product, etc., etc. But those are some of the things that you can play with a small budget campaign in order to hopefully exit the learning phase, hopefully get more conversion events, and start making some more leads and sales. So with your tracking, when you're running a small budget campaign, it is even more important for your tracking to be accurate. And I say, well, it's always important, to be fair. No matter what campaign type you're doing, you should always make sure that's accurate. But with a small budget campaign, if you're missing these conversions and you're not understanding your data, then it's going to be harder to exit the learning phase, and it's going to be harder to optimize a campaign, because the more sales you make or the more of these conversion events that you achieve, the better the system understands who to target your ads toward. That's really, really key. The system has to understand exactly who to go for, and getting those ticks in the boxes with these conversion events is what helps. So in order to help it as much as possible, because if you've got a campaign and you're making thousands of sales because you're running £50,000 a month and you've got a highly desirable product, good brand awareness, etc., you're going to get so much data really quickly that your campaigns are going to be really powerful. But that's not the position. If you're looking at this video for spending £1,000 a month, that's not the position you're likely to be in. So how do we make sure this is accurate? Well, I do have some videos around this, but as a basic, you need to make sure that your pixel is installed correctly and is working properly. You need to have Conversion API. I have a video around that, which is the simplest ever setup you could ever imagine. Lots of people struggle with Conversion API, and you don't need to. You can use something called Stape.io and it sets it up. It's $10 a month and it works absolutely seamlessly. Conversion API will allow server-side tracking as well as website tracking, and it just improves everything. After that, you just need to make sure that you set up your funnel, and this is a funnel of a client that I'll take you through now. So you can see here that we're tracking just normal page views. This is just as somebody, this could be one individual that bounces from across 5 pages. That will record 5 events within that. The view content, this is just when people are actually going on to the shopping pages to show us a bit of information about buying intent. Then we have here the add to cart. We know what that is, and the complete registration. This is where people set up a membership account. Then when they add their payment info, so this is kind of like the initiate checkout, when people are actually putting their details into the system, and then finally when people actually sell. Now, because we have all of that mapped out, we know the attrition rate of the funnel. Because we know the attrition rate of the funnel, we will know, if we get 100 add to carts, we know roughly how many purchases we should be achieving off the back of that. It's all really, really important. And if in doubt, do your test event to make sure that everything is set up correctly. And there is also a video on the channel that's a really short, effective video that will explain exactly how to do this, exactly how to set up your test events. Make sure you go into the settings section and get everything turned on. So things like automatic website matching, that will create some automatic events. You will have seen it a little bit. Some of the funnel might not look that logical to you looking at it cold, but to us, we understand what it is, because some of these events have been automatically created and perhaps not the best best setup because it's been done by the system, not by us. And to track events manually without code and get all of this turned on. And you can also turn this stuff on about allowing historical conversion uploads, and it just wasn't necessary for this client. But these are some things that you can turn on to allow a greater flow of information between Meta and you. And finally, for audience targeting, what I would suggest is that you keep your audience targeting broad and that you use the Advantage Plus audience. Now, there are ways. It used to be you could use Advantage Plus or detailed targeting, and that was the two options. Facebook has recognized that sometimes for some products and services and businesses that you need to give the AI a little bit of a steer. Because the AI and the Advantage Plus audience will understand very well who to sell your clothing into, who to sell simple, easy to understand products and services to. But if your product's a little bit more niche, a little bit more specialist, and you're looking for somebody more particular, then you're gonna have to give it a little bit of a steer to allow it to do that. And the way that you do that, obviously in the locations, you can have it United Kingdom as the whole, or you can refine that down because, you know, there's no point advertising to the whole of the UK if you can only target, for example, you know, Cambridge City or just people in London or South London or Manchester, etc. So set your audience targeting there. You can also exclude locations. You can adjust based on age because you might understand that your customers are between 25 and 50, for example, or male and female, etc. And you can exclude custom audiences because you might not want to target people who have already purchased from you. So there are some controls that you can put around your audience, and you can do this now, which is adding audience suggestions, which is the old way of doing it. So you can add in your detailed targeting. So you might want to add in, well, let's go football. There you go. You might want to advertise to people who are interested in football because it's a football product, and that just gives the AI a bit of a steer around who you want to go for. But the key takeaway is on a small budget, allow the AI nowadays to do its thing. You don't have to be breaking this down. Where I see people going wrong with small budget campaigns is they're trying to target top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, and they've got all these different ad sets, and it just causes your budget to fragment. You can't get these optimization events, you can't get these performance goals in place. And what it means is the AI just hasn't got enough juice, it hasn't got enough impressions to work out what it's doing. So to get around that, your campaign structure just has to have a campaign level, one ad set, and then your ads underneath that. If you're running ads and you've got a multi-location business, so you might have a Birmingham, a Cambridge, and a Manchester office, what I would suggest on a small budget is you have one campaign that you make branding-wise generalist to all three areas, and you have a campaign that just one campaign that delivers in all three. Simple as that. Keep it nice and simple. Don't break your budget down across lots of different audience types, lots of different layers, lots of different funnel strategies. Simplicity is key. Finally, I'm just going to add a little bit more meat on the bones around strategy because it's the hardest part to go over in a short YouTube video because all of your businesses, products, services, they're all unique. Now, there are some generic advice that I can give you to follow. So when you're running a strategy with under £1,000 a month, it's best to start by simply going for that low-hanging fruit that I described. AKA, if you want a sale, just go for the sale. If you want a lead, simply ask people to submit themselves as a lead. The reason I say start with this strategy is that advertising on Meta isn't about just rolling the dice, then either winning or losing. It's not gambling. The best advertising campaigns have genuinely been going for a long time because this allows you to slowly learn what is working, and then they tweak and improve campaigns over time based on the data, because the data doesn't lie, the data isn't biased. Now, follow the approach of running a campaign, analyze that campaign, improve that campaign, run the campaign again, analyze the campaign, improve the campaign, and it's a never-ending cycle that you need to be engaged with. Over time, you should be improving every aspect of your campaigns, from copy to creative to audience targeting, etc. And it's in these small marginal gains that you will unlock massive success. So I really hope that helps. That is how to run a campaign with under £1,000 a month. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.